Hey guys, we're back and we're moving on to NBA. Now the All-Star starters have been announced for the East. It's Rose, Wade, LeBron, Amare, and Dwight Howard. Did the voters get it right before we move on?
I think they did. I mean, that was pretty solid right now. I mean, you could make an argument maybe Rondo over Rose, but Rose is having an MVP season, 24 points, 8 assists. I can't complain at all. I mean, clearly Dwight Howard's there, LeBron, Wade both had good seasons, and Amare on MVP talk.
Hey, we can see LeBron, Wade, and Amare now.
Yeah. And I think it's going to be pretty cool because I think the reserves are a little bit lower this year. I think it's going to be a lot of Celtics reserves. It's going to be kind of like the Pistons a couple years ago when they had a bunch of reserves. But as far as stars go, I think the fans got pretty good this year.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of would have liked to see Rondo in there, but
yeah.
You know how much of a fan I am of Rondo, so
yeah.
I'm not going to argue. If it's not Rondo, I want it to be Rose.
Yeah, he's been an MVP candidate, and what he's done with the Bulls with Boozer and Tom Thibodeau as the coach, I think he deserves it.
No arguments, really.
Yeah. And I mean, I'll take that too because the Celtics have a lot more reserves than the Bulls are, so. Yeah.
All-Star starters announced for the West. CP3, Kobe, Durant, Melo, and Yao Ming. Thoughts on this? Did the voters get that?
I don't think they
have. Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, especially Yao Ming. He definitely needs to be there.
They need a 7'6" guy. I mean, whether you're hurt or not, who knows?
Is he still in the country?
The guy's played 5 games. I mean, bonus. I know you. I mean, most of these people just go on. You see, Allen Iverson was there a couple years ago. They don't know what they're talking about. But really, I think it should be Nene, who's the center in Denver right now. I think it's having a great season. As far as centers go, I think it should be Nene. But the rest of it's pretty solid. I mean,
you know who I'm surprised about?
Griffin.
Yep, Blake Griffin.
I'm
surprised he didn't make it.
The problem is, I think it's just this year, and if you haven't been paying attention, they're in a small market, so I don't think he gets a lot of votes. I mean, Melo and Durant.
But I mean, Blake Griffin has been dominating ESPN.
And the other snub is Kevin Love too.
Yeah.
Kevin Love and Blake Griffin have been huge.
They'll definitely get the reserves.
No
love for Kevin Love.
Yeah, they will. But I mean, Durant and Melo, they're having pretty good seasons too. But I mean, I think it's just a lot of name recognition there.
Yeah.
I think really it should have been.
That's the only thing I don't like about the All-Star games is that it's more about your name than anything.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like that for all All-Star games because the fans got to have some kind of say. But NBA especially needs to be a little bit fixed. Maybe the fans can vote for like the first one or something. But once it goes down the line, I mean, you see Yao Ming. I mean, it should be Nene there. You look at Marc Gasol, Andrew Bynum, they should all be there. As far as East, I think they did good. West, I don't know.
Yeah.
So you think better? The East is better on paper?
Oh yeah.
On paper, right now, yeah.
Well, I mean, they have all the top players in the league. So
they didn't. If the West,
you have Kobe in the West, then you have LeBron,
It's going to be interesting to see the reserves though, because I think the East are stronger in starters, but as far as reserves go, I think you're going to see Griffin and Love. I think it's going to be a solid team. You're going to see Deron Williams come out there. It's going to be a solid West team, and it could be a good battle, especially in LA Staples Center. It's going to be a solid matchup.
East.
I'll go East too. They usually come out stronger.
All right, moving on to NHL. We'll talk about the All-Star game next week. The fantasy draft takes place tonight.
Right now.
Yes, and we don't know the
first pick was actually Cam Ward because Eric Stahl picks his goalie, so. But that was a little weak of a pick.
Yeah. But basically, only big story in NHL is Alexander Alexaman gets 1 year, $6.7 million extension. Thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, it might be a little bit high for a hockey player. Usually, you see a player of that caliber get around 3 to 4. But I mean, he's having a down year this year. I just checked it; it's 18 goals to 17 assists.
I mean, he's still a good player.
Yeah, he's a solid player. I mean, a great player, actually. Ovechkin is having a down year. I think that's rubbing off in cement a little bit. The Washington Capitals are having a down year, actually. I mean, they're 5-6 seed. Yeah, I mean, you got to give him the cash, what he's done in the last couple of years. I don't have any problem with that.
It's kind of like Jeter, where you pay for what he's done for you.
And it's only 1 year. I mean, I think they might give him a bigger extension, but he needed a little bit of raise because he was not getting paid a lot. A little bit of raise for 1 year, that's pretty good for what he's done in the past.
I don't mind it.
No.
All right, moving on to MLB. Mike Napoli is traded again to Texas for Frank Francisco and cash. Yeah. Do the Rangers have the best lineup in the game?
Rangers are solid right now, and they're actually going after Vlad Guerrero. It's between them and the Orioles. Orioles made an offer. I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Rangers step up, and I think he might go back to the Rangers. They get Vlad Guerrero out to get an Adrian Beltre. You look down the list, I mean, you can consider Michael Young, Josh Hamilton, Adrian Beltre, Nelson Cruz, Vlad Guerrero.
Well, there's actually talk about the Jays getting Michael Young.
Yeah.
So
yeah, well, Michael Young might be on there, but you still got guys like I look at a Julio.
But
Bourbon.
if they do that, do you think that means they're going to get Vlad?
If they move Michael Young, oh yeah, they really step it up for Vlad. But right now, Michael Young could be that DH. I think you can move maybe Michael Young to a first base.
Well, the only reason they want to get rid of him is to open up some salary because they want to have like $70 million around.
I don't know why they wouldn't pay Vlad. I mean, he's still out there in the market. He's the best free agent still available.
Yeah, so
he had a great season. Yeah,
I would like to see that trade.
Yeah, and you don't know about Beltran. I know he had a great season last year. Great signing, a great deal. Putting him in the cleanup spot, which they have him right now, I don't know. I think they should get Vlad. He was comfortable in the cleanup spot last year. Get him back. But right now, I mean, also you got the speed with Elvis Andrus and Julio Bourbon. But with all that said, I think they might still be third with the Yankees and Red Sox. What the Red Sox have done in the lineup with Adrian Gonzalez and Carl Crawford, that's pretty solid. And of course, the Yankees.
I think the best thing the Red Sox have done, I know this is going off a little bit,
yeah.
The best thing they did was they got, I think it was like either 2 or 3 first-round picks.
Yeah, because they got it for Beltran and Victor.
No, they got 2 first and then a second round or something.
Yeah, and
so I mean that's pretty good.
That's the good thing about baseball. You get picks for losing your free agents depending on the type A. That's pretty solid. I like that rule. And yeah,
meanwhile the Yankees lost theirs. So.
Yeah, and that's what happens. That's what's good about small market teams. In baseball, it's different because usually, like every other sport, they're around the same kind of roster. But baseball, usually the better teams are better. And the bigger markets are better. So it's good for smaller market teams to have that type A thing. If they lose a big free agent, they get better picks. That's what happened to the Rays. Now they're looking pretty good.
All right.
Wait. So who do you think has the best lineup? Rangers?
No, I'm still torn between Red Sox and Yankees.
Who would you say is right now? Cashman even said the Red Sox have the better lineup.
Yeah. I think if Ortiz doesn't drop off, the Red Sox have it.
Watch out for Salton and Lackey. I think he might have a solid year too. That would be huge.
All right, moving on to viewer questions. Casey, there's no location on where Casey lives, asked...
Say from Australia.
Yes.
Yeah, some global viewers.
If it's a girl or a guy.
Yeah, a lot of
Casey.
explaining to do here, Casey.
All right,
we're going to find
I'm assuming it's
Let's go, Casey.
He asks, if you were to start a team with 3 players to build around, who would you take?
That's a good question, Brian.
3? Just any 3 players to build around?
I guess so. Okay.
I really don't know.
I'll go.
All right, you go.
I'll take 2 batters and 1 pitcher. I'll go pitching. I think I like what I saw from last year with David Price. I'd probably take David Price. And also, I think you need a catcher there. I'll take Buster Posey, and I'll take Carlos Gonzalez. I think that would be a good build around. You usually want to build from the middle out, and Carlos Gonzalez can play center field. Buster Posey, catcher, and I think he'll be catcher for a long time. Usually when a good offensive catcher, usually down their career, they move to first base. I think he's going to stay with catcher. I think the Giants have a pretty good core with Lincecum, Kane, Kung Fu Panda, and Buster Posey. That's a solid core. Something like that would be solid, but if I'm taking 3 guys, I'll take David Price, Cargo, and Buster Posey.
All right. I think for a pitcher, see that it's really tough because do you want a guy that's like still young, or do you want a guy that is?
If you want to build around, I'd go with the guy that's young.
No, but I mean, you can get like a Cliff Lee who's not too old, not too young.
I mean, he's 30.
I'm not saying him.
Yeah.
But,
Lincecum.
I was thinking Lincecum.
The only thing is, Lincecum has a lot of wear and tear in his arm. A guy like David Price has a good build. I think he'll have a longer career. He can throw up higher. I think I'd go with the Price just because he's, weighs more and taller, a bigger build. Longer career.
I like who you picked, except I wouldn't take Posey. I'd probably take Longoria.
Yeah, Longoria's solid.
Because I mean, third base is hard to find too. So.
That is true.
And a catcher,
you can't go wrong with any of those.
At catcher, you can do what the Red Sox did: get someone like Salto Lamacchia who can bat 9th.
Yeah. Yeah. Good question, Casey.
Yeah, it was. Made me think.
Yeah.
All right.
Still kind of thinking over it.
Yeah.
Fantasy baseball coming up soon, so we ask you guys to keep sending in questions for fantasy baseball. We'll do more each week, but for right now, here's a couple. Sam from New York, he asked, could be a girl. They ask, who will have the better fantasy season, John Lackey or Josh Beckett?
Well, that's a good one. I think Josh Beckett's going to have to rebound. That's the major X factor for the Red Sox this season. You got Lester, you got Buchholz. If they come back, if Buchholz is another side of the season, they should be all set. But if he doesn't, maybe he falters a little bit. I really want either Beckett or Lackey, at least one of them. They're making huge money. They both signed huge deals. One of them has to step up and actually be a top flight ace. And I think that's going to have to be Beckett. I think if he's healthy, it's going to be Beckett. I think Lackey's still going to be easing away. I don't think he's that ace material anymore. I think he's getting a little older. Last year, his velocity was down a little bit. I think if you're going to take a stab at it, you're both going to get him late. I'd go big and try to get Josh Beckett and hope for the best.
Yeah, I can't really argue with that either. Josh Beckett, what he's done.
Yeah.
He was that top pitcher for a while. Yeah. He had like 1 or 2 bad years, but
yeah.
I think he'll rebound.
Yeah, I'm going to use some fantasy terms. I think Josh Beckett is a higher ceiling, which usually means he has more potential, and John Lackey is a higher floor, which means if you're going to just get one guy, I think knowing what you're going to get, know what you're going to get with John Lackey. I think he's going to be less injury prone.
He might be the safer pick, but I don't know if he's the best.
If they're both there really late, I'd go Josh Beckett though.
Yeah.
That's usually what you want to do, is try to get the high ceiling late.
All right, final viewer question. John from Seattle asks, other than Carl Crawford or Cliff Lee, which free agent will have the biggest fantasy impact this year?
Ooh, that's a good one. I just don't like what I've seen from Jason Worth. If you're going to get... I know Jason Worth's high. He's really high up there on the list. I've seen some mock drafts. He's really high. 10th outfielder, I don't see that. I look for maybe like a Victor Martinez. I think in that lineup, I think he can be pretty solid. Yeah. He's going to give you first base eligibility and center and catcher eligibility. So
he's got the power numbers. He's got the average. He's got a little everything.
And if he plays ahead of Miguel Cabrera, he's going to get a lot of runs. If he plays behind Miguel Cabrera, he's going to get a lot of RBIs. And I think he's pretty solid. As far as Jason Worth, I take a pass at him if you're going for him. That lineup's weak. You got Zimmerman. You lost Adam Don, who by the way could be pretty solid. The White Sox. You lost Adam Don. I don't think Jason Worth's gonna have that big number until they get contracts to him down.
If anything, get him and trade him right away.
Yeah, that's a good pick for people. There's always that one person in your league who doesn't know a lot about sports. They might know Jason Worth because he signed that big deal. Try to trade him if he's still there late, but don't keep Jason Worth. I don't think. Also, what do you think about Adrian Beltre?
I was gonna say I'd take Beltre over Worth.
Beltre? The good thing is we just talked about that lineup. He's going to put up those numbers because of the lineup, but who knows?
But the thing is, you're going to get Beltre a lot later too, so that'd be like you'd get more for your pick.
I think he'll be a little higher. He put up monster numbers, but
he's not going to be as high as Worth.
He's in a pretty good lineup. He's in a very good lineup.
Yeah, speaking of monster, I think part of that production is because of the great monster. He hit a lot of doubles over that wall, so that wall's backed up. I know Texas is a big hitter's ballpark, but a lot of those home runs were really right over that wall. Maybe those turn into outs. It's going to be interesting to see.
Think Manny Ramirez will have a big fantasy impact?
If you can get him really late, maybe, like I said, that dumb idiot who you just see Manny Ramirez.
If you already have your lineup set and you're still there, get him.
If you have
because he has that potential to
put up. Do you think if he had a healthy season, do you think he would be good?
Yeah, if he's there in that lineup,
I think he'll hit some late.
He's a good bench player.
All right, if he played the whole season.
Here's a question.
If he played the whole season, he could hit somewhere late 20s.
Here's a question for both of you guys. Who do you think has the better fantasy season, Johnny Damon or Manny Ramirez?
Manny Ramirez.
Really? I think
Manny Ramirez has always consistently put up a good average. Johnny Damon.
The steals are down. Most of his fantasy was from speed. His steals are down. I think you look at Manny Ramirez. If there starts to be injuries, he might get that DH spot, and he might put up like Vlad Guerrero numbers from last year. Maybe as a rebound.
Don't they want him at DH anyways?
Yeah, he's going to be having a lot of intensity coming back to Fenway. That's going to really spark up that rivalry. And he had pretty good success in Tropicana and the Dome. I think he might have some decent numbers. Yeah. I'll go Manny.
All right, so that's about all we have for this episode of The Pitch.
It's been kind of a boring sports week, but
yeah. Well, there's no football next week unless you count the Pro Bowl,
which I don't. Half the players aren't even going to be there because it's before the Super Bowl.
Yeah, so. Tom Brady always makes up some kind of injury that he can't make the Pro Bowl.
Well, no, he had surgery. So.
Yeah, this injury's serious, but a lot of players do that.
Before we end, let me give you a scenario. If you were signed to the Red Wings, and and the Islanders claimed you off of waivers, how would you feel? Would you be mad?
Especially when
and Johnny Nabokov.
Yeah, and Nabokov, especially when you get claimed by the Islanders who already have Rick DiPietro, who's their franchise goalie. I'd be pissed off too. I don't blame him. Yeah, but the Red Wings have a solid goalie too with Jimmy Howard. So I mean, you have a better chance of winning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd be furious.
I think a team like
Well, he was suspended, so
all you have to do is retire and then
for
come
not
back.
showing up.
I think Tampa Bay should have took a stab at him. You know,
Yeah.
they went for Dwayne Rolson, who's has the experience, but if getting Nabokov was like a top flight goalie a couple years ago, he's been down years, couple years. I think somebody should have took a stab at him.
All right, well, that's all we have for this episode of The Pitch. Follow us on Facebook. Subscribe to us on YouTube. You know the whole spiel. So
look at that poll, Green Bay, and keep sending us
Vote.
fantasy.
All right, well, we'll see you next week on the episode of the next pitch, which will be 19 straight weeks. All right, well, let's do it up. See you next week. Until then, this is The Pitch with Fox, Beatoms, and Mitch.
So